Okay, go ahead and label the top of your spiral 4-2 estimating quotients. And once you have that written down, we are going to go on to the first question I have for you. All right, so my question to you is, suppose you have a 134 stamp collection. You want to display them on 5 pages of an album with about the same number of stamps on each page. About how many stamps should go on each page? So I want you to just write this top information that you have 134 stamps and you want to spread out those stamps on around 5 pages. Okay, if I asked for you that what division problem would you write to find the exact number of stamps? Well, the exact number of stamps we would need to use are exact numbers. So we would do 134 divided by 5. But since my question says about how many, I know that I have to do what? You're right, I have to estimate. So instead of doing 134 divided by 5, I want to use compatible numbers. I want you to remember that a compatible number is a number that is close to the actual number, but it works easily together in a computation. So it's kind of hard to do 5 divided by 134. What can we switch 134 to make it easier to solve? Well, we can erase it and just switch it to 100, because we know easily that 5 can go into 10 how many times? 2. 2 times 5, 10. 10 minus 10, 0. Drop down that 0, or we can just move it up. Was that a whole lot easier than having to do 5 divided by 134? Yes. Another way that you can figure out what compatible numbers to use, you can ask yourself, what 2 division facts are close to 13 divided by 5? And if you're not sure, use a multiplication table to find the 2 products of 5 that are greater than and less than 13. So we know that 5 will go into 10 easily. So that's why we just rounded that 4 down and made it 100. So when we did do the 100 divided by 5, we got an answer of 20. And how can we label this answer? Let's go back to the question. It says about how many stamps should go on each page. So what would we put as a label? 20. We want to put about 20 stamps on each page, or 20 stamps on each page. Okay, now for these next couple, I want you to try. You will be estimating each quotient. So remember, if I give you a problem that looks like number 1, which is 520 divided by 4. If I've asked you to estimate each quotient, remember we don't keep the 520. We have to change that. So we would round that down to 500 divided by 4. So please listen carefully. I will remind you throughout the video. Okay, so the first one that I would like you to try, you are going to do is page 94 in your textbook, and it's number 2. So remember, I'm wanting you to estimate each quotient, not give me the exact answer. So number 2 is 444 divided by 8. So first you need to think, what would you change this to make it easier to divide 8 into? So you are correct. You would change that to 400, because you know 8 can easily go into 40. 8 does not easily go into 44 evenly. So 8 easily goes into 40. You have to add that 0 on the back, because we're talking about 444, not just 44. So this is the problem that you're solving. 400 divided by 8. What do you get when you do 400 divided by 8? Well, when you do 400 divided by 8, you know 8 goes into 40. 5 times 8 is 40. Add that 0 up top, you get 50. So your answer would be 50. So when you look at problems number 3 and number 5, I want you to go ahead and try those. make sure you ask yourself, first of all, what would you make these two numbers, what compatible number would you use to make it easier to do in your head? So go ahead and solve those two in your spiral and tell me what you get in the quiz section. Okay, so I'm going to explain this top one because it is a little more confusing than the one we did before. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the top problem. 640, you know by your multiplication facts that 6 does not go evenly into 64. Therefore, it would be hard to divide by. So what does 6 easily go into besides 64 that we can easily divide by? Well, we know that 6 has to go into 66 because 6 goes into 66 11 times. So we're going to change the 640 to 66, but you have to drop that 0 down. So now we have 660 divided by 6, and I just said, and we know that 6 goes into 66 11 times, add the 0. Another way you could have done that is you knew it was 660, so we're going to write 660 divided by 6. 6 goes into 6 one time, drop down your 6. 6 goes into 6 one time, drop down your last 6, and raise your 0. You get 110. So go ahead and do number 5 on your own. All right, when you're doing number 5 on your own, excuse me, you know that 2 has to go into even numbers for it to be fully into that number. So I can't take that 2, oh, excuse me. Okay, we're going to ignore what I just said. So we're going to cut it 683 divided by 2. Okay, we know 683, that's not an even number. Therefore, 2 cannot go into 683 evenly. So we need to round this to a whole number that 2 will go into. Well, we can't do 690 because this is 69 is not a multiple of 2. So their next step going up would be 700. And 700 can be divided into 2 easily. So you went from having 683 divided by 2, switching it using compatible numbers, 700 divided by 2 equals, and what did you get? 350, that's what you get. So in your spiral, you are going to be responsible for doing page 94. I would like you to try problems 11 through 18 using compatible numbers. And make sure you are estimating your quotients. That means you have to use the compatible numbers. Okay, so I will give you the answers and you can compare yours and check your work for answers 11 through 18. And we are going to do numbers 11 and 12 together to start off. So first let's do 11, which is 312 divided by 5. We know 5 cannot go evenly into 312. And so we need to ask ourselves, what compatible number can we make 312 to make 5 go in easily to? Well, we know 5 goes easily into 30, so let's just make it 300. 300 divided by 5, what'd you get? 60. Good. So your answer would be 60. Remember, I'm not asking for an exact answer because our exact answer, so if I were asking or looking for an exact answer, our exact answer would be 62.4. But remember, just an estimated answer. Okay, so we're also going to do 12 together. So look at your work as I write mine down. All right, so we have 792 divided into 4. No multiplication facts no two multiplication problems, we cannot take 4 and times it by anything to get 79. So that's when we know we have to use estimation and compatible numbers. So I would have to ask myself first, what do I change 792 into? Well, something that 4 can go easily into would be 8 or 800 because we have to make placeholders for the 9 and the 2. So your question would be, what's 800 divided by 4? And you would get what? 200. Excellent. Okay, so now I am going to just show you the answers for problems 13 through 18. Okay, so 13 you get 400, number 14 you get 125, 15 you get 120, and 16 you should get 60. I'll show you the compatible numbers I used real quick. So I wrote my compatible numbers to the side. So for number 13, which the actual problem is 834 divided by 2, I changed it to 800. And then for 14, it was 518 divided by 4, and I changed the 518 to 500. And number 15, I changed the 586 to 600. And 16, I changed the 419 into the 420, since 7 goes easily into 42. And let me give you problem 17 and 18 answers. So for 17, I get the answer of 80, and for 18, I get the answer of 150. Okay, so the answers again, 80 and 180 for 17 and 150 for 18. I want you to at least try 2 more on page 94. So I'd like you to try numbers 22 and 27, which I put on the board. And please tell me what you get in the little quiz question. Oh, I'm sorry, this is 23. All right, so first think, what can I change the 263 to make it easier to divide by 3? So I can easily change it to 300. Drop down my divide sign, drop down my 3. 300 divided by 3 is 100. Then do that with problems number 27. 641 divided by 6. What can 6 easily go into? Well, 66, because 6 divided by 11 equals 66, and then we have to add that 0. So you should get 110. Okay, so tomorrow when you come to school, if you have any questions, please bring them and ask me during math time, while you're doing your practice. Your homework will be practice 4-2, but it's not really homework, it's classwork. So I will see you guys tomorrow.